my channel. Today I have a very exciting video that is not about Studio Ghibli. I know, very weird for me to not talk about Studio Ghibli in a video about anime, but I decided to make a video showcasing the best anime movies that I have seen, because I do think there's so many great anime movies out there that maybe don't get that much recognition. When you think of anime movies, you think of Studio Ghibli, especially in my channel, since that's all I talk about ever. But today I'm gonna be talking about some of my favorite ones that I have seen, and of course, if I don't mention any that you think are worth watching, please let me know in the comments so that I can go ahead and watch them. Okay, without further ado, let's start with the first one. There's no surprise that I love this one because I have mentioned it quite a lot in my channel, and it's Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is a movie that was directed by Satoshi Kon, in my opinion one of the greatest anime directors. Sadly, he passed away pretty young, so he only got to make about 4 movies in his lifetime. All of those movies are amazing, but my personal favorite is Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is about this girl named Mima. She is a pop idol in Japan, but she decides to take her career into a different direction and decides to become a model and an actress. The movie takes a very creepy turn because she gets this stalker that begins to harass her online and harass her in real life as well. A lot of weird things start happening around her, and she becomes very paranoid. If you've seen Black Swan by Darren Aronofsky, you'll definitely see so many similarities between the two movies. This is because Darren Aronofsky was inspired by Perfect Blue to make Black Swan. They both are very psychological films that deal with, you know, the perception of reality, but they both have this pressure to project this perfect image. The first time that I watched this movie, it really impacted me, and I could not stop thinking about it for weeks and weeks. It truly is one of the greatest anime movies that I have ever watched. It's such a great thriller, and I feel like when a lot of people think of animated movies, they don't necessarily think of movies that are disturbing or more adult, but this one is definitely on the mature side. There are a lot of disturbing scenes, so this is just a warning. If you do decide to watch it, search about it first just to make sure that it's something that you can handle, because it is a pretty disturbing movie at some points. Okay, the next movie that I'm gonna talk about is also by Satoshi Kon, and it's called Millennium Actress. Millennium Actress is about this TV interviewer and his cameraman who go to the house of this really famous actress to interview her. The famous actress, she recounts the story of her life and gives a lot of detail into this mysterious key that she was trying to track down during her whole career as an actress. This key was given to her when she was a young girl by this mysterious man, and basically she has been in love with this man ever since. As she's telling the story, we see images from those times, and they very smartly intertwine with each other. You have to really pay attention to this movie, because if you blink, you'll miss a scene. It's just so uniquely told, in my opinion. This movie is definitely not at all disturbing like Perfect Blue, but it is very much in the style of Satoshi Kon, and that is in the editing, the storytelling. He really likes to jump in time. We see that as well in Paprika, which is another one of his films. And I don't think I've ever seen a movie where these jumps are so seamlessly done. Like I said, Perfect Blue is my favorite Satoshi Kon film, but Millennium Actress is definitely worth a watch. It's so unique and very entertaining. The next movie I'm going to talk about is called Wolf Children, and it's directed by Mamoru Osoda. Okay, I wasn't sure if I should say Mamoru Osoda or Mamoru Osoda, which is how I would normally say it in Spanish. But anyways, I'm just going to leave it like that. Wolf Children is about this woman who, in college, falls in love with this wolf man. The woman gives birth to 2 wolf children, and after a lot of years of living in the city, being inconvenienced by the fact that they can't help when they turn into wolves, and not knowing if she should take them to the vet or take them to the doctor, she decides to go live up in the mountains with her kids, where nobody can bother her, nobody can find out if they're wolves, if they're kids, and they can just roam around freely. Up in the mountains, she befriends this little community, and they help each other grow their vegetables and stuff like that. Both of her kids, as they grow older, they try to find who they really are, if they identify more with their human side or with their wolf side. We see them go to school, interact with other people, interact with other animals in the forest. This movie is so heartbreaking but heartwarming at the same time. I definitely cried for different reasons throughout this movie. It will definitely hit you right in the feels. And what I love about it is that even though I don't have children, and I definitely don't have children that are wolves or anything like that, I could still really feel for Hannah, the mother, what she was going through. Kids growing up, separating from their parents and becoming their own person. It's a quiet and sweet little film that is definitely worth a watch. For the next movie, to keep going with the same director, I'm gonna be talking about The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. This movie is about a high school girl who all of a sudden discovers that she can jump through time. Basically, it's like the butterfly effect. She can travel back in time, change a few things, but this definitely will change the things around her. It will affect people that she knows, so she has to be really careful with what she changes in the past. I personally love time traveling in movies. I don't know why. I also think it's a very common thing in anime. This movie is definitely a lot of fun and it's very entertaining. I personally think that Wolf Children has a lot more heart than this one, but they're obviously completely different films, which is totally fine. Not every anime movie has to be this makes you cry kind of movie, which is what I personally love. But this one just had something that keeps you entertained. It definitely had a little bit of twist here and there that I wasn't expecting. If you want something more lighthearted to watch, this one is definitely your choice. For the next movie to finish with Mamoru Osoda movies, let's talk about The Boy and the Beast. This movie is about a young boy who is living in the streets of Shibuya. He bumps into this warrior who happens to be a beast. Kind of looks like a bear, but he can walk like a person and talk like a person. And they both go into the world of beasts, basically. The beast decides to take the young boy as his apprentice and they start training together. At first they're kind of rough with each other, but then they form this really tight bond like father and son. This movie, you wouldn't really think that is by the same director. Wolf Children being this very calm and really heartfelt movie, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time being this just fun and lighthearted movie, and then The Boy and the Beast, which is action-packed. It's so thrilling. It's so much more colorful and fast-paced than the last two films that I talked about. That's why I really like this director. Each of his films, to me, they are so different. Like I said, this movie is just a lot of fun to watch. I definitely think that it's flawed in some parts. It's not my favorite by him, but it's definitely worth a watch. The next movie that I'm gonna talk about is called Makia. Makia is a 15-year-old, but she will live for a very, very long time. For this reason, she is advised to not fall in love with anyone from the normal world because they will age and she will face heartbreak and loneliness. One day she finds an orphan baby and she decides to take him as her own. She essentially watches him grow up, which of course brings a lot of heartbreak to her life. This movie is full of fantasy, which I completely love. It's absolutely stunning. It is dramatic. The music in it is amazing. It's definitely a lot different from all of the other movies that I've talked about. The themes of death and family and motherhood are very present in this movie. It will bring tears to your eyes if you're sensitive like me. And yeah, it's just a really, really beautiful movie. The next movie that I'm gonna talk about is called A Silent Voice. And I've talked about it on my channel before because I absolutely love this movie so much. This movie follows a high school boy who is essentially bullying this girl who is hearing impaired. She faces so much bullying from him that she is basically forced to drop out and change school. This causes the boy to be bullied back by everybody else in the classroom. Years later, he has lost all of his confidence. He now knows what it feels like to be on the other side, basically bullied by everybody else, that he feels so bad for having bullied this girl. There are several things that I love about this movie. First is the animation. It is beautiful, and there are so many things that are so unique that I've never seen in any other animated movie before. Another thing that I love about this movie is that, of course, it's just a beautiful story. I definitely cried a lot, which I feel like it's not really that surprising because I basically cry so much with any movie. But trust me, this one is just very, very emotional. Okay, the next movie that I'm gonna talk about is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Doesn't matter if it's anime or not, but it is definitely in my top 5 movies of all time, and it's called Your Name. Your Name was directed by Makoto Shinkai. Obviously, it's a huge movie. Everyone has heard of Your Name. Your Name is about a high school girl and a high school boy. The girl lives in more of a rural part of Japan. The boy lives in the city. All of a sudden, one day, they change bodies. So each of them is living the other one's life. These changes happen randomly. They never know when it's gonna happen. Sometimes they'll wake up in their own bodies, and sometimes they'll wake up in the other one's bodies. So they have to basically adjust to each other's lives. Through this, they obviously get to know each other really, really well and form a very strong bond. If you still haven't watched this movie, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there are some turns in this movie that I definitely did not see coming, that are really unique. They of course try to find a way to meet each other in person. Things happen that I'm not gonna spoil, because this movie is literally so magical that I don't want to spoil anything. There hasn't been one time where I haven't watched this movie and I haven't bawled my eyes out. It's not even like I cry a little bit. I literally bawl when I watch this movie, when I listen to the soundtrack. Just everything makes me feel so many emotions. Obviously, as you can see, the animation is extremely beautiful. Some of the most beautiful animation that I've ever seen in my entire life. This movie is definitely a must watch if you're just starting to get into anime movies. If you still have it on your watch list and you're like, yeah, one day I'll watch it, this is the day. I'm telling you, watch Your Name and then come here to the comment section and tell me what you thought about it, and it better be good. No, I'm kidding. You can have your own opinion. It's fine. But yeah, that's pretty much one of my favorite movies of all time. The next movie is also by Makoto Shinkai, and it's called 5 centimeters per second. That's a hard title to say. 5 centimeters per second. This movie is about a girl and a boy who are really, really close friends, but one day both of their families move away, which means there's so much distance between them now. This movie is told in 3 different parts. They all deal with the nostalgia, with distance, and growing up, and first loves. It's just to me, it's a very nostalgic movie. In true Makoto Shinkai style, this movie is very sentimental. The animation, the music, everything about it just feels like a dream. A lot of people would say this was his masterpiece before Your Name, which I agree with. But of course, then Your Name came and it became the best movie ever. If you like Your Name and Makoto Shinkai's style, then you will definitely enjoy 5 centimeters per second. It's a beautiful, emotional film that will definitely tug at your heartstrings and will make you feel a lot of things. And that concludes my list for the best anime movies that you should definitely watch that are not Studio Ghibli. I hope that you guys found some that you hadn't heard before, or some that you still had on your watch list and this made you decide to watch them. Of course, I didn't mention a lot of great anime movies that are out there, so if you have a suggestion, please let me know in the comments. What is your favorite anime movie? And also, have you seen any of the ones that I've talked about? If you have, let me know what you thought of them. I will be replying to the comments, of course, like always. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.